Hi everyone! I decided it was about time I make my own video on tips for raising readers. After all, I've been a teacher for 15 years, all of the years teaching reading to young children, and I also have my master's degree in teaching reading, along with having my own 3 kids. So, not that I'm an expert, but I've picked up a few things along the way, and I thought I'd share them with you. So today I'm just going to share my 3 favorite tips for how to best raise a reader. My first favorite tip is to model your own love for reading. Even if you're not a totally avid reader, I think there's great ways that you can fake it a little bit and also just show your kids how important reading is. So I jotted a list just so I wouldn't forget any of my ideas. But I think one way that you can model your own love for reading is to get excited when you find a good book. So when you're taking your kids to the library, not only focusing on looking for books for them, but browse the shelves that are for adults too. And if anything pops out at you, point it out to your child. Say, oh, that one looks good. I think I might want to take that one home. And if they see that you're excited about books, then maybe they'll be a little more excited about their own books too. Another way is to let your kids overhear you talking about book recommendations or article recommendations, magazine recommendations with friends or family members, because then they'll know that reading is an important part of your adult life too. Another way to model your own love for books is to really get to know the authors and series that your child is reading. And point out things like how authors tend to use similar types of characters or have similar kinds of messages in their books. Even point out things about the illustrations. Did you notice that in this series of books, this author always tends to do this, and you'll see it over and over again. Modeling those things that you pick up on helps kids notice those same types of things. Make sure that you make reading a priority in your family. Make sure that you have a special routine for reading every day. And if reading is a priority, don't just say it, but show it by making reading in your own life a priority too. So if your child is old enough to do their nightly reading by themselves, sit next to them. Read your own book. If your child isn't there yet, read with them. Read to them. Make it a special time for you and your family. As a teacher, I can absolutely tell which kids come from homes that prioritize reading, that love reading, and which kids come from homes that don't place a large emphasis on reading. It honestly is really obvious. So the more effort you can put into it, the better chances your child has at being a successful reader. That's my first tip. Moving on to my second tip, it is to tie your family's love of books to your outside life other than just reading. So let me give you some examples of what I'm thinking here. The first example I have is fresh in my mind because actually today when I'm making this video, my family just got back from visiting Storybook Gardens in Sheboygan. If you're from the local area and you've never been, you have to check this out. It is the coolest thing. It's a beautiful garden on the UW Sheboygan campus that has different areas set up for different series of books and particular titles of books. For instance, there's Harry the Dirty Dog's area where there's a little dog statue and scrub brushes and the kids can wash the dog, and then there are fancy little mailboxes around the garden that have books inside of them, laminated books, so you can open up the little mailbox while your children are scrubbing the dog, pull out a copy of Harry and read it to them while they're scrubbing. There's a Little House on the Prairie section with a covered wagon and a cabin. There's a Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes Japanese tea house, just tons of cool things to see in this garden. So try to seek out special places that feature books. I know that's a little bit unique. So a more common way you could do that is go see a movie that's tied to a book and make sure that as a family you read that book first. Then you can point out things that you notice across the book and the movie. What's the same? What's different? What did you like better about this version? What did you like better about that version? Another idea to tie books to your family life is to bring books to places you go. Bring books to picnics. Bring them on sleepovers. Bring them in the car. Bring them camping. Our Shine-A-Light books are awesome books to bring camping because you read them with your flashlight. And then that brings me to my last tip for raising readers. Model the power of nonfiction. To be honest, I tend to neglect this one a little myself because I am a fiction lover through and through, so I have to keep reminding myself of this one and consciously practice it. But if you make a conscious effort to show your kids how important nonfiction is and how it can value their life outside of the book, all the better chance they're going to have to really pick up those nonfiction books. So some examples for that is when you're modeling your own reading, make sure you mix it up too. Maybe you're reading your fiction book, but then also point out how you can read about an interest you have, like gardening or cooking or whatever your interests are. Model how you could read articles or books to get more exciting ideas about your passions. Model how you can read about your career to to further your knowledge on helping the people you serve in your own career. Check out a book with your child at the library, a nonfiction book that you can read together and then do something with. For example, maybe you want to check out a cookbook and make some recipes together. Or maybe your family is planning a trip and you want to check out a book about the destination so you can learn together about some neat places you can go see, some things you can do while you're there. Our family is going to Disney soon as I make this video, and we checked out a children's guide to visiting Disney, and our girls, even though they couldn't read all the words, they had a blast looking through all the pictures, checking out all the rides, and we think they'll be all the more excited to actually see those things when we get there. Every time you go to the library, try to make sure your child, encourage them to select at least one nonfiction book in addition to all their fiction books. So that was a brief little version of my 3 top tips for raising a reader. I hope something sparked your interest there, or I hope it's something that you can use in the future. Thanks so much. Bye.